and BitChute where the more based offensive content is allowed. So One Piece anime Netflix. The main lesson to take away from this is always gatekeep soy boys because they will destroy everything. They get their filthy, grubby little Mountain Dew and Cheeto covered fat fingers on. So the creator of One Piece did an interview about the adaptation into a live action, and he was a little bit honest about manga not being done correctly in live action. The most recent example is hysterical. Was the Cowboy Bebop, where one of the characters, the chick, is known for her megalarpalus breasticle region of boobaliciousness and wearing a sexy, revealing costume. It was basically a bra, which is the biggest jugs imaginable, which, realistically, for a live action, you're not going to find a girl that skinny with boobage like that. Short shorts and thigh highs with boots. So that's the costume, and obviously not everyone has the body to pull it off. You've got to get a very skinny girl who also has boobs, who is comfortable playing a role in her underwear essentially, and then there's like an off the shoulder jacket on top of the whole thing. It's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it's an anime. Don't make it if you're not going to indulge in the ridiculousness of it. Obviously, sex appeal is very important to Japanese manga and anime and all that kind of stuff. And the thing is, the chick that they got for the role was sort of a cringe feminist who was too short and chunky for the role, and the show bombed after one season. And if I was her, I would be like, yeah, whore me up as much as possible. No. I want to dress as just wearing underwear, to try to sell the show and sell myself as an actor and sell myself as a good sport. And instead, she went the other way. I was like, oh well, the clothing wasn't really comfortable. It's like, but that's the clothing for the costume, you dumb twat. Oh yeah. Do you want it to go more than one year to actually like catch fire with people? Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, maybe you should start thinking about these things. Like Hollywood doesn't run itself. You're gonna have to like the producers and the directors that they want to do stuff woke, and it's like you can push back against that. Like no. I'm totally down with sex appeal. It's like you're young. You've got a good body only when you're young. It's like you might as well have fun with it. Anyway, so she tell chicks to get them to take nudie pics. So the chick was not on board with it. So when Netflix says that they want to do this live action, the creator is scared that they'll make everyone gay, black, trans, and a furry, socialist, other. Oh, that's what's Snow White and the Seven? Well, it's not the Seven Dwarves anymore. It's like the Seven Bandits or something. God, it's everything they do is just everything they touch turns to crap. It's reverse Midas. And so I guess the rumor was Snow White, Rachel Zegler, and Gal Gadot. Gross for both of them. Just gross. She's some kind of like communist who wants to fight. It's just I'm sure Gal Gadot is going to be a Trump stand-in or something, just developmentally disabled and bundles of stickery. Anyway, so the creator is scared that they're gonna just F it in the A and give it monkeypox and AIDS, because Netflix is controlled by Epstein pervert types who use intellectual properties to push their bullshit cancer propaganda. Keep in mind, Netflix is the one who made Cuties, I think. And don't get me wrong, it's like Netflix and Warner Brothers and Amazon and all the other, Disney especially. Holy cow, Disney! What a bunch of people who oh gosh oh gosh I gosh let me just skip Disney, just bunch of lizards really. So Netflix and Netflix the thing is they just use everything to push this narrative because they're lizards and they hate you. And that's kind of the crux of the issue, is that they view everything as a way to push a woke narrative, which is roughly anti-white, anti-Christian, family, anti-tribe, nation, anything that's against normal, healthy families that create strong tribes and in-groups and stable things. No. That's not the point of the globalists. They want these bullshit found families, or what do they call it, like chosen families or something. It's like, yeah, it's just a diverse group of people who have nothing in common and who will immediately have interests adverse to each other, and there'll be conflict, endless conflict until they go to war and one wipes out the other. Yeah, that's diversity. No, it's our strength. No, it's not. It's always been weakness. And when you put it in stories, nobody believes it because people have this deep down understanding of what is innately true and not. Anyway, the thing is, most Japanese stories are not pushing globalist propaganda because they're a nationalist nation. They're not just a commercial zone like the West has been turned into, run by these lizards. So the creator says, "Good live." I don't even remember what his name is. It's probably not pronounceable. He really should like get it like. Adapt an English name or something more easily pronounceable, like they call everyone Ken. A good live action doesn't have to change the story. So can the question asked is, can the live action satisfy the people who read the manga? And most of the time, the worm people at Netflix and Hollywood in general have no interest in being faithful to the original property, even if it would be wildly successful. Look at what they did to Rings of Power, Wheel of Time, Witcher, and Willow. They erased the fair, beautiful characters and then they brown or blackwash them. Yeah, Snow White with Rachel Zegler, who's I don't know what her ethnicity is, but it's like it's literally Snow White. It's in the fucking name, dude. Gal Gadot. I mean, isn't it some kind of German folktale? So you're just screwing it up as much as possible because you're hard on for anything blonde or blue eyed. Anyway, so they blackwash or brownwash whatever everything they touch, and they just make everything gay and cringe, and nobody watches it. And then they go online and insult the people who didn't watch it. It's like, yeah, but why didn't all the soy boy pussies and cat ladies watch your show? And they do it with movies all the time. What's the Elizabeth Banks movie, Charlie's Angels? A bunch of not attractive women who look like they like other women make some kind of action adventure movie. It's like, yeah, so how come the chicks didn't support it? Oh, I guess they were all busy that day, that week, that month. They just didn't quite make their way into the theaters. Yeah, so why'd they make their way into the theaters for Barbie? Oh, because it's two beautiful blonde people who are just like out of some, like World War II propaganda, like Nordic stereotype type of thing. It's like, oh yeah, weird. They watch Barbie, two beautiful blonde people, like blonde, so blonde they're like platinum, and then you have all this other ugly woke propaganda. It's like, oh yeah, because chicks like beautiful things. Yeah, that's really what it boils down to, and they like a little romance, and in this case, they liked having being the center of attention, having all this kind of feminist, like their echo chamber was just massively reinforced in Barbie. And to be fair, the advertising for it, and I said this when it came out, I go, this advertising's not showing you anything. It's really creepy that they're not showing you anything about the movie. And the advertiser's like, yeah, but if we showed it was a feminist movie, it wouldn't have made, $1.5 billion. We tricked we tricked women into getting into the audience, and it totally worked. It's like, yeah. And honestly, like, you're going to be able to do that a few more times. It doesn't take it. People don't learn the lesson once for something is like, it's only $15 to go see a movie. It's not the end of the world if you get tricked a little bit, but it'll work a few times with that kind of deceptive advertising, and then people will kind of awaken to it. And it's funny is a case that just survived summary judgment was some kind of Burger King or McDonald's case where someone is suing for $5 million because it's deceptive advertising, because the pictures they show with the food, and this has been a long running joke, doesn't match the pictures that you actually see in the product. And it's like, yeah, that's a fair. Someone should have. Congress should have been like dinged them for deceptive advertising. It says no, the food has got to be there's something in advertising in contract law called puffery. And like, you can puff products up a little bit, but it can't be the point of being deceptive. And it's like, yeah, Congress should have passed laws that says no, the stuff has to look exactly like what the average product looks like. And then, if you want to make an effort to put more lettuce and pickles on the product to make it look realistic, it's like, well, you have to go that route. Anyway, but the thing is, it survived summary judgment, so it looks like it's going to go ahead, and we'll see what happens with the Burger King, the McDonald's. If the thing is, they would just stop showing the product, and they would just focus on people, or they, heaven forbid, like, put the cheese on correctly, so it's not like, I can't imagine anyone eating fast food. Grow your own potatoes. I reach down I have grow bags, right? I reach down in the dirt when I need a potato, and I pluck out a potato from the dirt. It's a freaking bizarre feeling. It's my first garden. I'm a little overly enthusiastic about going hog wild in the garden. And I grow sunflowers, and the bees, the bumblebees are all over my sunflowers. And then soon as they go to seed, soon as the seeds come, the birds attack them and destroy them, which is all, it's all part of the game too. That's fine. I only grow the sunflowers for the bees anyway, so if the birds want to eat most of them, that's fine. You really got to get into gardening, especially for the stuff that's coming up. Turn your whole backyard into potatoes and corn and tomatoes and peppers and stuff you can eat for calories, and then stuff you can trade, and then vitamins, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, So they, I mean, they do this stuff that like Rings of Power, Wheel of Time, Witcher, Willa, where they erase the fair characters, and they just made everything stupid. And the thing is, they don't care because they're parasites. Everything they touch, they absolutely destroy. They infect classic stories with their disease. They destroy it and just move on to a new property. It's the difference. And I learned this term from the Mary Sue, which I read. I read the Mary Sue and Daily Stormer every day because they're both kind of parodies of themselves. They're both ridiculous, but ridiculous in their own way, and they're kind of interesting to see like where the pulse is for different groups of people. But they're talked about curative versus Mary Sue talked about curative versus transformative, and that's the big difference is these globalist parasites in Hollywood are transformative. Everything's like, doesn't that just mean propaganda? Yeah, it's propaganda. And there's a deeper issue to it between the concept of nationalist propaganda, which is actually good for you and your tribe because it's organic storytelling to perpetuate the tribe, the health of the tribe, of the people, versus globalist propaganda, which the goal is to destroy tribalism. To make, I mean, it's a different video and it's not one for YouTube. Anyway, the thing is that when they do this kind of stuff, they're telling you it's not about the money. With Rings of Power, the Peter Jackson version of Rings of Power was a massive success, and then a few years later, he actually got kind of forced into doing The Hobbit because the original guy had to dip out of it. So he's kind of left with the mess in his hands. And they started to race swap some of the characters and they get away from their actual story, and the story wasn't authentic, and people felt that. You look at a village scene, it's like, wait, these aren't like English villagers. There's someone who doesn't belong in this. Spot the Where's Waldo. It's like this. There's a couple people here who are not part of an English village. How does that work? It's like, oh yeah, that wasn't in the original Lord of the Rings. Why is it in The Hobbit? Cause they were starting to get woke, and that was only a few years after the original. Anyway, the thing is, then by Rings of Power time, it didn't look anything like the original. It was all just race swapped anti-white girl power type of nonsense that saw the audience. They were there for the first episode, and then it just dropped off a cliff, and it's coming back in a year or two. It's not going to do any better, but they spent like $800 million on it, so they have to make it, and it's like, you're going to make 5 seasons of that. Yeah, you sure about that? How well is the Wheel of Time doing? The thing is, Hollywood hates the audience, and they very much hate the original European people who wrote the stories. Everything, yeah, bounding into comics, you got to lighten up some of these images just a little bit. Like, that is the quickest fix to do with these images. And for some reason, their images have been overly dark for years. I don't know why they don't just simply edit that. Anyway, so Hollywood hates the audience, and they hate the people who actually wrote the stories. Everything they do is for the point of making globalist propaganda. I can't imagine. I was thinking like Herman Melville, the Moby Dick, if they had to make that today. My name is Ishmael. When actually, I want to say there's a scene where he's sleeping in a bed with another guy, some kind of Pacific Islander or something. That's a little bit odd. But and actually, Moby Dick did have a lot of. There's a scene where they're rending the whale. It's you're gonna have to read it for yourself. Read the whole book, and then you read that scene. You're like, this is written a little bit weirdly. It's all this lubricated whale fat, and it's just like pumping and thrusting and slippery, and it's all just dudes on this ship, huh? And you're just like, this is a little weird. That's just, huh? That's a weird way to write this scene, Mr. Melville. I'm not. It's like a little too Georgia O'Keeffe for me. Even as a kid, I read this. I'm like, this is kind of gay, dude. maybe your editor should have told you to dial this kind of stuff down just a little. It was just a little weird. I mean, if it was all like chicks, I would have got it. But it's like it's all just dudes on that ship. There's no chicks, man. It's like been out there a long time, getting kind of lonely with all that slippery whale oil and thrusting and pumping, and yeah, it was a bit much. If you read that, if you remember that scene, you probably remember that scene. So anyway, the thing is, if they're forced to make something straight, they would probably just get online and start crying about how they were not able to put their own personal bias about trans, gay, black, furry otherkins, and that's really triggering to them. But the thing is, it never happens. These people never do any kind of straight adaptation. At least not in the mainstream. Even in this live action, I think one of the guys in the comments on this said, I better not show because he uses some hot words. Is that one of the characters is the BLT, the T in the BLT or something? So I guess that's like one of the maybe like a background character's, something they're not type of thing. Someone who's wearing lipstick that. It's like, wait a minute, I don't understand why you're in a dress and lipstick. Like, Nazi says what? Because whatever. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.